Welcome to the Tell Our Stories podcast. I'm Perry Chris. On today's episode, I got the chance to speak to Stephen Davies, the author of the new book, Granny's Got a Fart Gun, Hilarious and Heartwarming Tales from the Nursing Home. Stephen has spent over 25 years working in nursing homes, starting as a volunteer with his college, before eventually working full-time as an activities director and finally administrator. His book chronicles instances, interactions, pranks, and everything in between from his time in senior care, and believe me, the title of the book is not false advertising. Join us today for a conversation around his idea for the book, the writing process, and some teasers from his favorite chapters. I expect you'll be laughing along with us. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me today. If you could introduce yourself.
Absolutely. I'm Stephen Davies, and I live in Salem, Virginia. I was an activity director for probably about 20 years and an administrator for 5.
All right, awesome. Well, I've got here a copy of your book. I just finished reading it a couple days ago. I really enjoyed it.
Nice. Thank
I'd
you.
love to hear sort of if you could walk me through how you got the idea for the book and sort of how the writing process went.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of those things that we all say, like, oh, I could write a book, I could write a book
Sure.
about all the crazy stuff that I've been through. And I started writing down ideas, I guess, a couple years ago at a conference. Probably wasn't paying attention like I was supposed to, but started writing down all these ideas. But then I put the ideas in a drawer, and, being a nursing home administrator, you just don't have a lot of spare time. I mean, you're on call 24/7 and dealing with all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff. But I made a career change recently from being an administrator to sales and marketing. And I had a
Hmm.
couple months in between where I wasn't doing a lot. So I'm like, you know what? Now's the time. I could write this book.
Yeah, if not now, when, right?
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's worked out well. I got up every morning, wrote a few chapters, and I wasn't sure if it would go over well, but I wrote a couple chapters, put them on my Facebook page. Everybody seemed to enjoy hearing the funny stories. And I'm friends
Yeah,
with a lot of the family members, and stuff of residents that I've worked
sure.
with. And everyone was real supportive. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, let's keep going with this. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that you mentioned the family members because I'm sure that this
yes,
is sort of a time capsule for them of, the joy that they got to experience in care.
yes, yes. And I changed all the names
Right.
just to be on the safe side. But I did let most of the family members know they've all been supportive. And I actually had a book release party 2 weeks ago,
Oh,
and a lot of
great.
the family members came out. So
That's
it
awesome.
it was really nice. Yeah, we all kind of reminisced about the particular family members, and
Yeah,
yeah, it
for
was real
sure.
nice.
Yeah. So the topic of, nursing homes is obviously not a topic that gets talked about, in ample amounts. Was there any sort of pushback you
Right.
received when you were looking to publish or start selling this book?
No real pushback. But I did some research, and from what I could tell on Amazon and different places, most of the books that I could find about nursing homes were either very informational, just
Hmm.
about the industry, or they were kind of negative. Talked about the dark side, I guess. Which I'm
Yeah,
like,
of
we need a
course.
good book to talk about the fun stuff, because
Yeah.
there's so much fun that goes on in these places, and I,
Right.
and I
Right.
I think that stuff's starting to come out more. Like, I've seen, nursing homes that have their own TikTok pages and things
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
that. So,
Hmm.
yeah, so I think because of social media, it is coming out more, which I think is fantastic.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think the more you know positive things we can get out there, the better.
Hmm. So you mentioned it a little bit in the book, but I'd love to hear sort of how you got your start in senior care. What made you get into that industry?
Yeah, so I talk about it in the book a little bit. I went to Ferrum College, and we had a scholarship for people who were willing to do community service out into the nearby community, kind of like work study, except you did
Sure.
it out in the community. So my first year I worked with kids, and my second year I had a friend who encouraged me to work at the nursing home with her, and I was like, no way, those places smell like pee. And
Yeah.
all I remember was my dad was a preacher, and he would take our youth group to local nursing homes to sing, and the old people would just yell at us, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In their defense, we were probably terrible singers.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure. Sure.
But anyway, my friend who talked me into working at nursing home, she ended up doing it for maybe 6 weeks and quit, and I did it for 3 years in
Yeah.
college and loved it. And my initial plan was to start a record store when I graduated college, or
Okay.
to be a rapper. It was going to be
Yeah.
one of those things. And after Napster came out, the music stores were starting to disappear, and I was
Sure.
like, I really, really enjoy doing activities and working with the elderly. I loved it. I felt very comfortable doing it, and a lot of my friends who graduated college went on to work at banks and marketing firms,
Hmm.
and nothing wrong with that, but that just wasn't for me. I wanted to do something more rewarding, more fun,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, it's almost like it wasn't even a job. It was just you go play
Yeah.
every
That's
day
lovely.
and make people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. You mentioned, it's the chapter, it's the title of the introduction, the sort of these places smell like pee. And I think that
Yes, yes,
it's both, it made me chuckle, but also I think it's important because, as you and I both know, this industry is very much fighting the misconceptions about the industry and sort of what the images that you think of when you first think of senior care and nursing homes. How
yes.
quickly in your time when you first started, did you start to sort of see the other side, the sort of, when did the bubble pop of these misconceptions you had before working in the space?
Like when did I start to notice that they weren't just places that smelled like pee?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's just I got to know the residents and know the staff, and just, you meet so many good nurses who are so dedicated and, work those extra hours, and, people who went above and beyond to make these residents happy. And, they're on their last days, and,
Hmm.
just to try and make those last days as happy as possible was great. And I think as time has gone on, I think nursing homes probably were a little worse in maybe the 80s and stuff until they became
Sure.
more regulated. So I think because of that, they've gotten much better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you were writing this book, did you have a specific audience in mind, whether that's like an age group or, an area of professionals? Who were you hoping read it?
I was thinking it would mainly appeal to just people in the industry.
Sure.
So other administrators, activity directors, nurses, and also people who have had loved ones in nursing homes, and or people who are about to send their loved one into a nursing home or an
Yeah.
assisted living and are hesitant to do so. Maybe this would make them feel a little bit better about that
Hmm.
decision, that, they're not going somewhere and they're going to be
Right.
locked in a room for the rest of their lives bored.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't remember the company, but I saw a commercial for an assisted living, and the family, drops off grandma, and, they're crying and the grandma's acting like she's crying. But after the family drives off, the grandma kind of looks out the window, and then the party starts, and bring out the champagne. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
so I
yeah,
always
yeah.
kind of like that.
Hmm. In your work as an activity director, what would you say were some of the things that came more easily and what were some of the challenges?
It all came pretty easy until I'd say COVID. I mean, COVID
Yeah.
was such a dark time. And at that time, I was doing my administrator in training, and, trying to learn how to be an administrator, as well as dealing with these COVID challenges and the
Yep.
ever-changing regulations. I mean, CDC and CMS were constantly changing things, and then you
Right.
got infection prevention,
Hmm.
going on, and that was pretty tough. And with a job like mine, it's like, how do you make people happy in such a dark time like this? So we
Hmm.
had to get real creative, and it made me realize how important not only my job, but everybody in that industry's job was.
Sure.
Uh, yeah, that was probably, I would say you probably agree, the toughest time that our industry has gone
Absolutely.
through.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can only imagine how difficult it was, specifically talking about activities, because I know that one of the beautiful things about being in a nursing home or assisted living is that you have the community in the same space as you, and you're able to have, all that connection that you can make there. And when you're not allowed to see people in person and be close with them, I imagine you're really fighting an uphill battle. So yeah,
Yeah.
what were some of the activities you guys got to do when you weren't able to be in the
So
same
I talked
space?
about that a little in the book too. We had to get real creative, and I can't take all the credit. I think our team, we all put our heads together and came up with ideas.
Sure.
The first thing we did, we got Facebook portals, which are kind
Hmm.
of like iPads, and we put those in the rooms so the families could see their loved ones face to face. And I think we got those maybe a few weeks into the lockdown. And,
Okay.
when we finally got those set up, I mean, it was just a lot of tears and stuff because the families hadn't seen their loved ones for a few weeks at that point.
Right.
So even though it was still through a screen, it was still pretty meaningful. But we also got I remember we got a bagpiper to play outside.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I had gotten a bagpiper to play inside the building one time. There's a chapter about that in the book, and that was a horrible idea because they're so loud. I don't know what I was
Yeah.
thinking. But I got a bagpiper to play outside the building, and it was
Hmm.
perfect because it was so loud. The sound carried inside the building, and
Yeah.
some of the residents could lift the windows if they wanted to. But we also got kids, like from church groups and things, to decorate the windows. So they would come
Hmm.
paint flowers and
Yeah.
trees and things like that on the windows, and the residents could
Hmm.
watch that. Then we had a group called Healing Strides, which was a therapeutic company, but they did therapy through horses.
Okay.
So they brought horses to the nursing home and they walked around the building, and the horses kind of went up to each window to see the
Yeah.
residents. And so we had to get real creative. And I think a lot of nursing homes did this, but we did the bingo out in the hallway
Sure.
where we, kept people 6 feet apart, called
Hmm.
bingo over the intercom.
Nice.
But that worked out pretty well. And I think the best thing we did, we had a gazebo out front. We were able to turn that into a visiting center. We put a
Oh, great.
partition like right in the middle of the gazebo. So families on one side, residents on the other. But our maintenance director had a great idea to put holes in the partition. And
Hmm.
then, out of all things, we bought calf birthing gloves
There you
to
go.
put in the hole so the residents and families could put their arms through the calf
Yeah.
birthing gloves and hug. I never thought I'd be buying calf birthing gloves in bulk from Amazon,
Yeah. I imagine your
but we
recommended
did.
ads were a little strange after that.
Yes, yeah. I haven't had to buy any in a long time. It's been great.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Uh, is there a takeaway that you hope readers of this book have when they finish reading the book?
Just that, you know, there is a positive side to this industry, and there's a lot of fun to be had. And I
Hmm.
mean, yes, there's sad places as well.
Of
That you
course.
can't deny that. Um, but just the, and I hope it inspires other people who get in the field, whether they're activity directors, administrators, nurses, whoever, to have fun with the job. Because I think the more
Hmm.
fun people have at work, the better it makes it for the residents.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that you've worked as an activity director for a good chunk of time. And I know that the book is sadly not able to contain every single fun interaction you had. How
Right.
quickly, just with how much fun these places are and get to be, how quickly could you fill a book if you had to? How much did you have to leave on the cutting room floor?
Well, there was a lot of things that were like, they might have been like a little funny paragraph, but maybe
Sure.
not like a full story. So
Sure.
I really tried to pick the ones that I could make a full story out of. And I think
Yeah.
originally I did have about 50 ideas, and I trimmed it down. I think there's about 33, 34 stories in the book.
Hmm.
So I did have to trim some of the fat there. And
Some
actually, I had a buddy who helped me edit it, and then I had a friend who did the illustrations. So we all kind of put our heads together, and my editor
Sure.
was like, well, maybe leave this one out, or maybe change this one up a little bit. So
Yeah.
luckily, I had a pretty
Yeah.
good group of people helping me with it.
Yeah, that's great. Do you think after having written and published a book, do you think there's another book in your future? Do you think this is something you want to look into doing again?
People keep asking about that, and I have no idea. Not sure if I have another one in me. I would hope so because this has
Yeah.
been a great experience. I mean, people have been very supportive, and I really thought just my friends and family would buy it and that's it. But
Hmm.
it's done okay, so
Yeah, that's
it's
great.
very
Sort of,
humbling.
yeah. With both this book and I guess just with your work in the industry, if you could snap your fingers and erase one misconception about this industry in the masses, in the minds of the masses, what would that be?
Uh, just that, I hear so much that you know those people have nothing to do. They're
Hmm.
stuck in these places and nobody goes to see them. And, really that's not true. Now, of course, there are families that are better than other families, but,
Sure.
there's so many good programs that go on in most of
Yeah.
these places now, and the volunteer programs. And, you know, I think probably at one time, maybe in the 80s and things, that they weren't great, but I
Hmm.
think they've gotten way better over the years. And I
Yeah.
think, again, I said this before, but like with social media, I do think that's helping to shine a light on
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
There's a
Yeah.
group called, I think they're called like Retirement House or something. You might be familiar with
I've
them.
yeah, I've seen them before. Yeah.
Oh, they're fantastic.
They have a good time.
Yes, yeah, I love watching them.
Yeah, me too. Me
They're
too.
great.
Well, if people wanted to read your book, where's the place they could go to find it?
You can get it on Amazon. Yeah,
Okay.
Granny's Got a Fart Gun. Hilarious and heartwarming tales from the nursing home.
There
And
you go.
if you type in on Amazon like nursing home humor, it usually comes up
Uh-huh.
pretty quickly.
Right. I imagine I can't say this for certain, but I imagine if they type in Granny Fart Gun, I hope your book is the one that pops up and not something
I
else.
think that would be the only one. Yes,
All
as
right.
far as I
Well,
know.
yeah. Is there any other place that people can find you online or any other thing you want to shout out?
Well, I am in a father-son rap group with my kid.
Very
We
nice.
started when he was 3. We're called Knuckleheads with a Z. And
Classic.
we're on Spotify, everything else. But he is 12 now, and we've released 3, kid-friendly, family-friendly albums, mostly
Yeah.
farts and burp kind of humor.
Yeah.
But I talk about that in the book as well. And my son
Uh-huh.
actually, not only does he rap with me, but he also wrote a chapter in the book. He
That's
thought,
right. Yeah.
and I agreed, he thought that it would be really funny to just put a completely ridiculous fictional tale right in the middle of the book. And I was like, yep,
Yep.
let's do it. So he wrote
Done.
a story called Time Traveling Tootsie about a lady who waves a magical spoon and is able to travel through time.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I know I had a great time reading your book. I hope other people do
Thank
as
you.
well. And so we
Thanks
appreciate
so
all
much.
that you do and for taking the time today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. I want to extend another thank you to Stephen for joining me today to talk about his book. As he mentioned in the episode, the book is available for purchase now on Amazon, and I can say it's worth the read. And as always, you can hear more from us at Tell Our Stories on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, or at TOS Senior Care on X and LinkedIn. Additionally, if you want to see the video from today's podcast, you can find the full episode on our YouTube channel. Just search Tell Our Stories. Thanks for tuning in.